would like to welcome everyone to our new podcast series, which is called The Bridge Between Us. How leaders, lovers, friends, and parents come back to connection. And as we all know, the world of relationships is complex, and distance, misconnection, miscommunication, disconnect are an integral part of all relationships. And I've always had a passion in my own life how to come back from these disconnections because it's so important. We all want relationships, we all want friendships, we all want romance, we all want family relationships. And I think in that sense, also in leadership, of course, we want to work with teams where conflict, misunderstanding can be addressed constructively. And in that sense, this podcast really is a passion project between Katie and myself because we care about these things. So I would also like to introduce Katie, my guest. Katie is a friend, collaborator, creative collaborator, and coach, and we met each other on the Women's Retreat. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here with you. Thank you.
Yes. So the way we thought we set this up is that Katie today introduces a specific situation she would like to deal with within the friendship realm. So in this podcast, we address complex situations in the leadership world, in romantic relationships, in friendships, and also in parenting. So today we are focusing on the realm of friendships. And Katie will share with us a scenario, and then we will together explore maybe the best way forward, how to deal with the scenario. And I will introduce a skill set, how to actually come back from disconnect, miscommunication, and how to repair potential kind of misunderstandings and ruptures. Yeah. Would you like to share with us, Katie, your scenario, and then we start from there?
Absolutely. So for me and my friendships, I mean, all relationships are really important to me, and friendships particularly. And I really like to know that that my friendships can grow and evolve as I grow and evolve. And I know sometimes in life, some things for seasons, reasons, lifetimes, aren't they?
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I like to know that um, that as I move forward, that to create opportunities for my friendships to stay really fresh and to evolve with me. And so I guess the scenario that I want to sort of put on the table is that when a friendship becomes a little bit stale, um, how do we how do we kind of start the conversation that will enable us to move that friendship forward into a new phase. Sort of within that scenario, what I recognize I find in myself when I want to create these conversations is I my nervous system gets very anxious, and it can start to trigger some feelings, some fears of around abandonment and that kind of thing. And I would really love to be able to go into these conversations with confidence, and with love, and with the energy of wanting to keep the relationship together and move forward in a new way. So yeah, so that's the scenario.
Yes, thank you. That's such a real scenario that we are all familiar with. Thank you for sharing it so openly and so vulnerably. It's specific to you and your friendship, but it's also actually a universal scenario that we can all find ourselves in. So thanks for sharing it. And so I'm hearing that you value your friendship, and that you want to find that the friendship has maybe gone a bit stale or distant, or maybe there is a bit of a sense of stagnation there, and you want to kind of inject. I love the word you used to you use the word fresh. You want to kind of come back to a fresh aliveness again. And that's really important. So it's not that you have, so I'm just kind of clarifying that you've had a conflict, but it seems that you've drifted apart a little bit, and it's in a friendship that you value, and that's long. Has it been a long friendship for you
It has
and
been
your
a long
friend?
friendship.
Mm,
It
mm,
has been a long friendship, and it's one that I value deeply.
mm, mm, mm.
So,
Yes.
and I've always very much believed that this is a lifetime friendship.
Mm,
Um,
mm. Yes.
so
Yes.
I would really, I would really. As you say, you're right. There's no fracture. There's not been any
Mm,
argument out or
mm,
any.
mm, mm.
It's been a drifting, and I would like us to
A drifting. Yes. It's a
rekindle.
drifting. Yes. So you want to find a way in our in our time together, begin the conversation with your friend about your relationship and move it forward with love, clarity, and also a way of maybe dealing with your nervous system,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, okay. Okay. What is the one thing you think that has held you back so far to have the kind of conversation?
The one thing is the greatest fear I have, that the conversation, rather than repair, may end the relationship.
Right, right, right.
That's my
Maybe blow things
deepest.
up or
Yeah, that's
might
that's the
create.
biggest fear I have around
Right,
friendship.
right, right, right. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's really helpful that you're saying it. I think when we are maybe not used to having these conversations yet, I think our worst kind of almost young fears get triggered, like being abandoned or being uh, rejected or pushed out, in a way. Yes. Okay. So that's maybe the deepest fear that has held you back to have this conversation with your friend.
The thing that's hot, the thing that's the kind of little bit more surface level thing that's holding me back is just not knowing how to start the conversation.
Okay. Yes. Almost we shine the light on the start of such a conversation. Yeah, excellent. And I would like to maybe introduce you to, and maybe people who are listening, to a handful of skills. I would call them maybe emotionally intelligent collaborative skills, like how to navigate the territory of such, tricky, complex disconnects. They're delicate and sensitive, aren't they? And
Yeah.
yes. So the first, I mean, there's skills, but they're also almost like inner positions, like I think that we can move ourselves into if we want to. So I just share the first one with you, which I have learned in my own life, and had to develop in my own life a lot. To have these conversations takes courage, and it means that the first position that we need to kind of familiarize ourselves with is that we can't grow and learn and develop our relationships if we don't have the willingness to lean into discomfort. It comes with the territory. And I think why that is so is, in a way, I think these conversations trigger the deepest fears within us that maybe have been conditioned, that triggers our conditioned nervous system, our conditioned mind. Because maybe when we were children and we spoke our mind in an authentic way, we most likely experienced disapproval, maybe the withdrawal of love, and things like that. And when we have these conversations in our adult lives, they get powerfully reactivated. And therefore, it's so tough to have these conversations, and to learn the skill. So, in a way, I think the position is, are we willing to lean into discomfort? And then also with that, how do we regulate our anxieties? It's kind of because we need to somehow find a way of regulating our anxieties, which are real and which are important to compassionately understand and deal with. And and I just wondered whether that makes sense so far, Katie. It's sort of just the beginning of the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. I agree. I think it does take courage. It does take growth.
It's vulnerable. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it shows to me, it shows the level of uh, desire for the relationship to work, to
Yes.
find the courage to
Yes. Yes. Yes.
step
Yes.
inside.
I agree. It's a passionate movement, for the relationship. Yes, it's taking a stand for the relationship. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to put myself in this discomfort because I love you, because I want to be with you in a way that feels alive and important and real and mutually fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's an act of love. I would agree with that. Yes. And so there's that, the leaning into discomfort, the step into the unknown, because you don't know what's coming back yet, unless the relationship already has, survived a few of these conversations and you've been reassured that no one is going to dump anybody and no one is going to run away, which is, I think this is kind of our fear. But how do we regulate our nervous system? So would you be interested in me sharing a few ideas about
Oh, that
that?
would be really helpful. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, because I can
Yes.
see how that would be really supportive to understand in this situation, but like across the board. Um,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think what has helped me and many of my clients is maybe the understanding that when we lean into discomfort, we are also leaning into growth. So expansion and growth always comes with anxiety. So just to accept that fact,
yeah.
uh, that in a way, when that these anxieties are what we call developmental. We are, when we develop ourselves and stretch ourselves, we always experience anxiety. So to almost come to an acceptance of that. And the opposite of that is when we stagnate and don't go there, we tend to more experience low mood and at its very worst, depression. When we're stagnant in our lives, when we're avoiding these places, it comes with stagnation and dissatisfaction and a lack of fulfillment. So we have to choose our pain. In a way, we have to choose what discomfort we want to reside in. Is it the anxiety of development and growth, or is it the feeling uh, of unfulfillment and stagnation?
Mm.
So I think the acceptance of that reality is just helpful in itself. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it's even just listening to you saying that, just I'd never really kind of thought necessarily about accepting anxiety as a part of growth. Like in my brain, I know that they're there, they coexist together, they sort of go hand in hand. And yet just hearing those words of putting them together, of accept it as part of part of the process, is that I didn't like I it sounds really strange, but I actually did feel myself go, oh, okay,
Yeah, I could see a little smile on your face.
all right
Yes, it was a relief. Yes, a
then.
relief. Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're unstable. Like I think we can tell ourselves stories.
yeah,
It's none of that. It's natural. It's utterly natural and expected. Yeah, so that in itself, I think, is
yeah.
a relief.
It is, and so it is that, like, the moment you feel that relief, there is that exhale in your nervous system that just
Ah,
calms.
yes, that's really interesting. Yes,
And I felt that listening to you putting those words together. That's what I felt. I just like, oh, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay. Like I'm all right with that. Like
yes, yes,
if I can know that this is normal and this is
yes,
okay, and actually, in some ways, it's just kind of reframed itself in my head as well. That in some ways, the anxiety is a good sign, because the
it is.
anxiety, A,
Yes,
is the sign of growth, and
mm.
B is the sign that I care.
Yes, yes,
That
that you
I
care,
care
that you
how this
care,
conversation goes. That
you
that
care about your friend. Yes,
there's love and connection there. There's enough love and connection still there that I care enough to feel
Yes.
anxious about having the conversation, because in my heart of hearts, I want an ideal scenario. I want the best scenario for both parties, obviously. But it's so the two of those together for me, it's normal and it's part of growth.
Yes. Yes.
And it
Yes.
shows me that I care. The two of those feel quite powerful, which is really nice.
Yes. That's wonderful. Exactly. And so that's the first kind of position and skill. And maybe we can move now to another one, which is which we can call speaking honestly, and that is, because it kind of relates to the start of the conversation, which is what your question was about. Speaking honestly, and I know you know that, but it's sometimes important to hear it again. But it's really like almost sharing your observations in a neutral way, not to blame yourself or your friend, but saying, look, this is what I have observed between us, and I, it feels a bit uncomfortable for me, and I feel quite vulnerable sharing it, because it's we haven't had many of those conversations yet. But this is what I've observed, and I just wondered how you feel about that. So this is kind of speaking honestly and respectfully and without blame towards yourself or another, just neutrally stating your observations. It's not right or wrong. Like, because it was saying, you said earlier, I don't know whether it's just my perception or whether it's hers as well, but it doesn't really matter. It's important that it's your observation, and our observations are always subjective, like in a way. So maybe you could just practice now, if you don't mind. What would you like to say to your friend? Like sort of in that way.
think I would I think I would like to say that, I don't know, I feel like the first thing that I want to say to her is that I miss her. I miss us.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, I miss her. I miss us. Um, and I can obviously see that life is happening. We're
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
living, and
Hmm.
life gets
Hmm.
busy, and I absolutely respect that. She's had a lot of amazing opportunities that have come up
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
in this last sort of period of time, that take time and attention, and um, that my my love for her hasn't changed. My desire to see more of her is what this conversation is about,
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and to really, to not, I think it's so easy to let things drift, and I
Hmm. Hmm.
don't want there to be drifting between us anymore.
Hmm.
Like, I
Hmm.
understand if life is busy and maybe we can't see each
Hmm.
other so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and what I would love for us to do is, just be really honest with each other about,
Hmm. Hmm.
does the friendship still have the same meaning and value for both of us?
Hmm. I love this. I love this, Katie. Yeah, I love this. Yeah, because you're affirming your the value of the connection. You're affirming the love and the meaning, saying, I love our relationship. I miss you. I miss the way it's been before. So that's a big part of it, to say that. And then saying, where are you with things? In the way you're implying that. So that the third skill is to invite the other into the conversation and to listen generously and to understand, to lead with a real curiosity, like you were saying. But you could even say that more explicitly. Where are things with you? Like, how do you feel about us? Do you think there is a way forward for us, or to invite the other to speak and then to listen generously, with the intention to learn, which is, you're a master at that already. I know that.
Yeah,
But do you
thank
have a
you.
sense that your friend would receive that? or is
I think she is somebody who receives honesty, real honesty,
mm.
however it shows up. So
Yes,
I think she would receive that.
yes, and I can understand why you would be hesitant because I miss you as a vulnerable uh, experience.
Mm.
Not to mention to articulate it to the person that you're missing.
Yeah.
It's a vulnerable experience, and that's part of the vulnerability. But love, connection, and vulnerability go together as well. Here we can't have love without vulnerability. Would you be happy if I just introduce a last kind of thought and skill?
Mhm.
That's great for this kind of conversation. So far we've had, almost, I'm kind of summarizing a little bit where we were, the courage to be vulnerable, the willingness to lean into discomfort, and with that self-regulation, yeah, regulating our nervous system. The third was to speak honestly without blaming, and then to invite the other to speak, and we listen with generosity and receptivity. And then maybe this part is almost the last part of the conversation that you can almost have in your mind, saying, okay, if it feels right, shall we make a kind of a friendship agreement? What to do? Where shall we go from here? You think, how do we want to move forward together? So that might be just a question to put on the table.
Mm.
What could we do if we find ourselves in this place again? So that actually you're building a foundation to have more of these conversations, and that you actually, I think it's a very, for friendships and also for romantic relationships, it's very nurturing, like to make an agreement. And I think for teams and work situations, I think it's also, it introduces a sense of we are both committed to make an agreement, and where are we with this? But again, it needs to be real, and honest on both parties. Like I can give this, but I can't give this. Like what about that? Or so yes. So the skill is to make collaborative friendship agreements in your case.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Hmm.
I think it's helpful because it gives making an agreement between you. It sort of it's like a permission slip for either of you when either of us feels like we're reaching a bit of a, that we're reaching this sort of point again to bring
Hmm.
it to the table. It's not if I feel like this again, then this will happen. It's like, no, this is a collaborative, as you say. It's an agreement between both of us. It's something that either one of us can uh, bring to the table at the point that we're feeling it, even if the other one isn't feeling it at that point.
Yes. Yes.
Before it
Yes.
gets to a point where both of us are, potentially not feeling as satisfied in the relationship. Before we get there, it's that kind of early warning.
Yes. 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 And it kind of keeps, I think, the relationship alive potentially if both people are invested in it
Yeah.
enough. Yes. And it then can open up creativity actually and inspiration, and the love can flow again. Yeah, if it's still there for both parties. Yeah, which is what we want.
Thank you. That's all been really helpful.